Hey yo, what is up YouTube, Ginno? Today I just want to talk about some things. The best EXO albums. I mean, you saw the title. So I've recently been going back through EXO's discography, you know, just listening to the music, all sorts. I've come to find that there are only certain EXO songs that I really like, and I've been listening to them on repeat and then ignoring the rest. So I had to go in and listen to these albums in full, get full feeling for them. And I decided I'd make a video like this. It makes a lot of sense. I haven't really aired this out loud, I don't think. So yeah, I'm just gonna name my favourite EXO album. No. We're gonna discuss it, why, and I'm gonna talk about all the different albums. I'm only involved in the full studio album, so the Korean album and the Korean albums and the Japanese album. I count the Korean and Chinese counterparts as the same album because they don't really change all that much, even though the sound does change a little bit. It doesn't really alter their position. I'm not counting the EPs, so things like Overdose, the Christmas stuff, that doesn't count. And these are the repackaged albums, so the full stuff, so you know, the Power of Music. I'm not gonna I might refer to it as The War, but I mean like the whole repackaged album for all the main albums. So let's start off with EXO, the first album EXO released. Highlights: Growl, obviously, such a superb song, was massive at the time. Lucky and EXO are both really fun, bright pop songs. And then Let Out the Beast and Black Pearl, probably not quite up as high as the others, but I do enjoy those a lot, especially Black Pearl. However, unfortunately on this album there are quite a few songs I do not like, namely Wolf. I just don't like it. I know I sort of made it a joke on my channel, and I think some people got a little bit confused that I do actually like the song. I don't really like the song all that much. I don't hate it or anything. I just don't really like it. I don't like the production. I don't like the weird shouty harmonies they do. It just feels like a very weird song structurally, and it doesn't sound good. I'm also not a big fan of Baby Don't Cry, My Lady, Peter Pan as well, 365. Not a big fan of any of those tracks. 365 sounds like something straight out of like a One Direction CD, and I just can't stand that sound, that glittery pop. Not me at all. The bright pop songs on this album, like Growl, EXO, these work because they're so fun and vibrant. The production is decent. Structurally they make a lot of sense, and they get a nice balance of different members' voices in there. But the inconsistency of this album is, for me, shown by songs like Wolf and Baby Don't Cry. Baby Don't Cry is just such a slow, lackluster song. It has nothing special to it. It's a very dull song, and it's on this album, and it just doesn't need to be. It's not, in comparison to other tracks on this, it's just so, it's a nothing. It's a nothing track, and I think that's the biggest issue with this album. It's incredibly inconsistent. There's songs on this that just do not deserve to be here, and they could have just cut so many of them off and just put out, you know, like a 9-song album, and it would have been a lot better, a lot more consistent. Lots of people and companies get this wrong. They want to pack albums out of like 17 songs. Albums, I tend to find the best albums I listen to tend to be between 8 and 10 songs, and that's just, you know, from experience. The shorter the album, the better the songs are on it, because they cut away the dead weight. If you release an album with, you know, 18 songs and only 10 of them are good, that means 8 of the songs aren't very good. Whereas if you drop a 10-song album and 8 of them are good, that's a good, yeah. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Sorry, I'm very bad at explaining my opinion on that. Anyway, the second album is Exodus, or Love Me Right. That's the repackaged version. This is a very strong offering, I think, in comparison to EXO. They made a lot of strides, both creatively, experimentally, but also with their vocals, that they have improved vocally a lot. That was just redundant. Much more consistent vocals throughout this entire album. Really impressive offerings on songs like Call Me Baby and Love Me Right. Compositionally as well, those songs are some of the best EXO have released. With this album, the track listing is very strong. There's not many songs on here that you could describe as, you know, nothing tracks, like Baby Don't Cry on the last one. It's consistent. I really like El Dorado. I also like Transformer. Although I will say the you know, the ending to this album's a little bit disappointing. It just sort of runs out of steam and just becomes a little bit turgid, and I sometimes struggle to get through to the end because I'd just be like, I don't really care for any of these songs towards the end, and I'd end up just like stepping out about 8 tracks in. So again, they could have refined this track listing a little bit more, but you know, there we go. Something I'd like to highlight is how much more experimental this is with its sound than EXO. They bring in a lot more sort of R&B vibes. There's also a little bit more sort of electronic styles in the instrumentals. You know, EXO, the instrumentals, I have to say, they were very inconsistent. I didn't really enjoy them all that much. On Exodus, that there's so much more kick to them, and I love that. It was very intelligently, I don't know why I pronounce it like that, put together as intelligently, yes, put together. It was great. Unlike this video, because I can't talk today. The third album they released, of course, was Exacto, the repackaged album Lotto. Lotto, wow. Not a fan, as most of you will know. It's up there with Wolf, probably as the most universally despised, not despised, that's definitely not the right word, universally disliked track, I think. Lotto and Wolf, I've seen people say they love Lotto, and I've seen people say they hate Lotto, so I don't know, it's a little bit funny. It's just one of those tracks that it's like Marmite, I don't know. But then we have Monster, which I think is up there with Growl as EXO's most universally loved track. That is a great track, but for me, the highlight of this album is Lucky One. Wow, what a song. I love that song, I adore it to death. The production on it's great, the vocals on it are great, it's so glitzy, it's original, the sound is great, the bass line is just, oh, it's so good. Structurally, probably EXO's best song. However, the album as a whole, it's very, very hit and miss. I think that the first half is decent, you know, you got Monster, Lucky One, Cloud9, Artificial Love, Heaven, those are all decent tracks. But that second half, it just lets you down because it's so stodgy and turgid, and it's just like, ooh, one glitzy pop track after another, and then there's like a slow ballady one, and you're just like, oh no. And it doesn't work, and it feels so disjointed and unenthusiastic. And when you compare it to something like Exodus, which was so experimental, it's just so disappointing to see. It felt like they were really going back to the EXO days, and I really didn't like that. Now, funnily enough, I actually really adored this album when it came out. I remember reviewing it back in, was it 2015, 2016? It was ages ago now. And I just, wow, I really liked it. And I think it was mainly because Lucky One, Monster were clouding my judgment. Because I adored those title tracks so much, I could sort of forgive the second half of the album. And now I look back on it, and I think I just listened to that first half of the album on repeat. You know, that second half, it's inconsistent, it's dull, and it falls into the EXO trap of just that inconsistency, and there's no flow to the songs on it. The track listing as a whole, it's not great. And next we have the fourth album they released, which was the one they released last year. This is The War or the Power of Music. That's the repackaged album. Oh yeah. Such a nicely structured album, very consistent, very experimental, lovely blend of genres and sounds here, from the title track Coco Bop, which is like an R&B reggae mix, so different. I haven't seen anything like that in the K-pop industry before, and it was so fun. Probably some of the best production EXO have got on any track before. Up there with Forever, which is another song on this album, which is just perfect. One of my favourite songs of last year, and up there with Lucky One as one of my favourite EXO songs. The production on Forever by LDN Noise, London Noise, or whatever you want to call them, is dreamy. It's just so superb, great sounds, so crisp, so perfect. The Eve, which is the opening track, is so solid. It gives you a feel for what this album is going to be, and the track listing, the songs almost flow into one another, and there really isn't a track on here that I would skip. Now, you know, when I first listened to it and when I first reviewed it, I wasn't so into songs like Chill and Diamond, but over time I've gradually sort of got used to them and their slightly weird sounds and production and those awkward transitions, and it's grown, both of them have grown on me so much. Especially Diamond, actually. I think it's a weird track, but it has grown on me. Touch It, which is a song that was written by Chen, is a beautiful funk pop fusion. I love that sound so much, so many interesting instruments, great production. Vocally, one of EXO's best tracks, actually, I have to say. It's so flashy, there's also some R&B textures in there. And even those vocal heavy ballad tracks like Walk on Memories, it just doesn't feel lackluster. There's so much energy to it, even though it's such a slow song. It's because of the way it is produced, the way the vocals are given, and the pace at which they're given. It works, and it doesn't become lackluster or dull or pointless. It has a feel to it, and the lyrics, goddamn, on that song. Ooh, I really do love that. It's such a consistent, bright album. You know, it's superb from the rap line as well. They don't really get that much credit, but Chen Yeol, Seo and Kai do a great job on this album. It is 100% their most original and different album, up there with Exodus, of course, which was also experimental, and it's also, I think, their best-selling album now. So yeah. And finally, we have the Japanese album Countdown. This is their 5th album. Mostly, you know, rehashed old songs that have been given Japanese lyrics, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. In fact, Love Me Right sounds great with Japanese vocals over it. In fact, I might even prefer it. Electric Kiss, which is an original track, is superb, and also Coming Over is really decent. But the rest are largely forgettable and not particularly interesting. The production on this, I hope another EXO album that never sounds like this, because the production on it is so inconsistent and unfortunate. Too much glitter pop, and I mean, it was made to appeal to a Japanese market, and whilst I have enjoyed a lot of J-pop in the past, I really couldn't get into this album at all. So yeah. So what is my favourite EXO album? Well, it would have to be The War, just edging over Exodus actually. The War is such a consistent album, and whilst Exodus is experimental in its own way, The War is the most different album EXO have ever produced, and I certainly think it's their best album. If I had to put them in order, it'd probably go The War, Exodus, Exact, EXO, and Countdown. So yeah, those are my favourite EXO albums. Let me know what you guys think of this video in the comments down below. Say what you think is their EXO's best album. Obviously, everything in music is subjective. Nothing is entirely objective. So saying, you know, one song is bad and one song is really good, some people will say it's the opposite way round, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, definitely leave a like and a comment, suggest videos I'm going to watch in the future. It's going to be Ginno signing out. See you guys soon. I'm tired and I've been working all day. I wrote an essay. It was about leukemia. It was very depressing. Yeah, that's what's going on in my life. See you soon.